You are not real. At least feels like you're not real, honestly. Every day, at least in my eyes, whenever I'm by myself and I'm just like just chilling, just doing my thing, nothing really feels real. And for a while, I didn't really understand what that meant. But now, I can proudly say that I dissociate a lot. And more than I care to admit, more times than not, I'm probably dissociating. Now you're probably thinking like, what is dissociating? If you're not, too caught up on it, if you're not well versed in dissociation, um, it's actually I think it's like a mental state, I don't know, it's like a mental condition, I guess, where you feel like, or a person feels like, in order to be comfortable, safe, or generally just a preferred state of mind, they'd rather feel nothing by just staring off. At least that's how I read it as. So usually when I go on my day to day, when I'm by myself in my room or low key like I'm just out, I'm probably dissociating. And what does that feel like to me? Well, honestly, it feels like I said, nothing. But a better way to describe it is like, when you're in class, right, and you're just like so bored of what the teacher is saying, bro. You're just staring at the wall and just like thinking about the most random thing, or in fact, you might just not even be thinking at all. Oh, my thing broke. Yeah, if you relate to that, you're dissociating. Now, that's not enough to probably classify it as like a condition. I assume, but if you realize that even in like conversations or when you're doing something cool or fun, that you're still just doing that stare at the wall or just stare in a random direction, then it might be something more serious than you think. My first, I guess, like real memory of me dissociating or me realizing that I was dissociating was when my friends had came over to my house. Spent some time. We were doing some stupid stuff. We were ding dong ditching. We were running around and just causing a ruckus in my suburban neighborhood. But I remember we were running down the street. Look how beautiful this is, guys. First off, look. Anyways, we were running down the street and I remember commenting to one of my friends like, "This doesn't feel real." And he was just like, "What do you mean?" And I was just like, "This, like, I don't feel like I'm here. Like, this doesn't just, like, I don't feel like I'm actually physically here. I feel like I'm just watching this happen." And he was confused. He was like, "Bro, you're right here, bro." And I guess, like, it was just that, he didn't really understand. And I didn't really understand what I meant either. But, I don't know, that thought stayed in the back of my head, like, "Oh, this feels real." And it bothered me, I guess. Why doesn't this feel real? Because, you know, we've all been younger. We've all felt different in our lives. So I guess it had gotten to the point where I'd gotten so used to it. But it's like I had a moment of clarity where I'd realized that I didn't feel this for most of my life. Now, it's probably something else that is often correlated with dissociation. It's called derealization. It's often paired with dissociation, at least in where I've seen it. But yeah, I was derealizing and dissociating. Derealizing is the part where nothing feels real, and dissociation is I guess the act of actually not doing anything. So just think of it as you staring at the wall is dissociation, but you feeling nothing while staring at the wall is the derealization. So yeah, I had realized for a long time that I had felt nothing. And not that I felt nothing, but I'd mainly for a while just been feeling negative emotions. And I had gotten so sick of like feeling so negative that I just wished to feel, just not feel it anymore, honestly. And my wish was granted. I have no idea where my house is, by the way. But yeah, my wish was granted. I started not feeling anything. I remember I'd be at work. I used to work at a Chick-fil-A, and I'd be on the fryers. And one of my favorite things to do while on them fryers was to think about multiple possibilities of like my life, or multiple possibilities of just like things happening. And one of them would be, what would happen if I passed away, or if I was no longer on this earth. Because you know that thought loop of us, like, we didn't ask to be here, so why are we here? Well, I had a naturally pessimistic mindset back then. So I guess I had decided, you know, what would happen if I wasn't here? Well, what would happen if I had died? Or if something tragic happened? Would anybody even care? And it's crazy how your brain convinces you of things that are actually not even true. Like, for example, I believe that nobody would care if I died. Or I just believe that I guess I wasn't important enough to feel, I guess, cared for in my mind. Which isn't true. And if you feel this way, if you're somehow, if you can relate to what I'm saying here, just please listen and please just pay attention for 1 second. You matter a lot more than you probably even think. And take it from somebody who's probably been in that position. It's so hard and difficult to convince yourself that you have worth if you truly do not believe it. So, if you're somebody here that thinks, you know what, I don't matter, or maybe things would just be better off without me, it's not true. And frankly, it's quite absurd in my mind now. The thought that your feelings or your opinions don't matter just because somebody told you that one time, or hell, maybe even multiple times, doesn't necessarily make it true. And I know how hard it is to look past that negativity and that mindset, but if you can just every once in a while just do something for yourself and do something to care for yourself. A lot of people don't really, they don't focus on themselves, or at least they don't put as much effort into improving themselves than one may articulate to another person, you know. I I'm probably the biggest like victim of this. I always tell people, I'm fine, or things have been a lot better, which can be true, which is probably true, but is it most times than not me downplaying how I feel in the moment, or how just how it really is. It truly is me doing that. I do downplay my feelings a lot, and is it because I feel like I'm not as important as other people? Not really now. I feel like it's because we're told so much that other people suffer, or people have different problems than us, and often we can see it as like something that we can compare with ourselves, you know. But I guess to me, I feel like my problems are so. Well, I guess I do downplay it. Yeah, I do downplay it a lot. I believe that my problems aren't as important or as impactful as they truly are. You know, I do get impacted a lot by everything going on. Yeah, I continue to tell myself that everything's fine. You know, you've gone through worse, so this shouldn't bother you. And I don't believe that's healthy. And it's weird to say that now, because that's been my mindset for a while now, you know. like I said recently, I've gone through a lot with my dad and my family, but you know, that doesn't have to be, I guess, the way, it doesn't have to stay like that. How should I have the stairs here? I feel like I should. We're gonna do this. But yeah, I downplayed my emotions. I downplayed what I was feeling, and it hurt. But I guess I like that I'm aware of it, and that I know it's not right, and I feel like I'm doing good to, I guess, change a bit, change that mindset of that maybe I am like that I do have worth, and that I can do something great. Which I guess this is my proof. Like me doing this, me being here, and how should I do this? I don't really know how to do this. But I guess me being here, me doing this is like my proof to show that I am worth like everything I say I am worth. And it's hard because for a long time I believe the opposite. I believe I'm not worth that. You know? So I guess you just gotta make the evidence to support what you want to believe, I guess. You gotta build that evidence. Like whenever we don't like somebody for no apparent reason, and yet we still gotta find, what's that little thing that is giving me that feeling, and then you find it and you're just like, I was right the entire time. This person is maybe not a bad person, but that's just the judgment that we make, trying to make up any reason to follow just something. I don't know. That was a bit of a tangent, but I guess back on the art of dissociating. It is a form of coping. I see now that I tell myself that when I dissociate, it's when I can solve my problems, but really it's just me digging a bigger hole for my problems, making them, or exist. The correct term is like exacerbating it to a wild degree, and then me finding a solution for that somehow. It's like making the problem and then solving it, and then acting like you're like the best like problem solver in the world. Like that's not cool. I guess that's not a good analogy, but just thinking of like a superhero causing destruction and then saving the day afterwards. Like you're still causing destruction, and even though nobody died or nobody got hurt, you're still putting people's lives at risk, and you're just not doing the right thing. And I guess that's what I've been doing. I've been solving my problems the hard way. I really want the sampling, but I don't need to, or at least I feel like I have to. Well, I always forget that there's just random structures everywhere, but I feel like I have to, just because, like, I don't know, it just feels like the problem's always bigger than it is. And it's hard for me to distinguish that. It's hard for me to distinguish, like, what's impacting me more than it should, Man, I low-key chose an L spot to live. Or maybe I'm just going the wrong direction. But anyways, I dig myself a bigger hole. I dig myself into harder paths, and I question why I'm struggling or why I'm stressed when I'm doing this. It doesn't make any sense. Low-key, I should change the stair color. I feel like since if it's white, we'll fix that later. But yeah, no, I definitely need to work on that. And it's okay to admit things that you're not great at and you're not perfect at. Because godlies, bro, like, the amount of people online nowadays that have, like, the perfect lifestyle is crazy. It's almost insane how many people you see online, like, oh my god, look at my beautiful car, look at my beautiful house, look at my beautiful girl, or something like that, bro. And it's it's hard not to feel shame or like feel less of yourself because you're comparing yourself to people who have more. And that's also just not good, you know. That's the problem with social media nowadays. It feeds us negativity, but it also feeds us what we want from ourselves, you know. Our social media pages are just mirrors of what our wants and needs are, and it's it's hard whenever you feel like you can't even attain that, yet it seems so readily available, you know. um I guess it's like me with the YouTube things, you know. I feel like that, you know. Honestly, I've been seeing these podcasts, these interviews where people are saying it's so easy to blow up, but you just need to put in all the hard work and effort and all that, which I guess you can put that in almost any job sense. Like, put a little elbow grease in it and, you know, put your head down, everything would be fine, which I guess has been true since the dawn of time, no? It's hard to think, like, is that actually the way to go, or is that just the easy way to explain something? And I guess you don't really know until you're in that situation. Um, do I feel like I'm putting hard work on this YouTube channel? Yeah. Is this my best work I can put out? Maybe right now. Am I content with my content right now and how it's going? That's a different story, you know. I don't really know what I'm doing. What I do know is I'm trying, and I'm doing it my way. Which your way is probably better than doing anybody else's way. Let's not get that twisted, you know. It's so easy to tell us that there is a way to do something and there is a path to your goals or your dreams, but that's not true, man. At least from what I've seen everywhere, like, that just doesn't seem to be the case. Anybody that is spewing the method or how to get that chisel bod in 10 days or less, you know, it's all just a money grab, or all just something to grab a little bit of your time, you know. That's the most important currency of the world nowadays, is our time. And all these social media pages or all these companies are just fighting for that, and we give them all our time, and yet we wonder why we never get to accomplish the things we want to accomplish, or why we're stuck feeling sad or hopeless. Well, it's because you're just doing everything for somebody else. You're not actually doing anything for yourself. But I'm not the perfect person either. I follow these same things, so don't feel bad that you're part of the problem in that sense. I would rather focus on the a water. No, it's a full water bucket. But I would rather focus on the fact that you're trying and that you want to do something to change it. And as long as you're working on yourselves, as long as you're actively fixing the problem or actively working on the problem, I feel like that's just as great as not even at participating, you know. Actively seeking change to better yourself is nothing but respectful in my eyes. Now, does that mean there's things you can do that you cannot come back from? I guess, yeah. Just because you murder an innocent child, does that mean you get the grace to come back into society and be a great person? I don't know. And realistically, it's not up for me to decide, you know. We got the courts, we got the law, and yeah. You're not meant to solve everything. You're not meant to know everything. You're just supposed to know about yourself. Know what you are. Know how you stand in this world. And that's one of the biggest questions of all time, you know. One of our biggest worries is what do I bring to the table? And a lot of us, we feel like we bring absolutely nothing. Or we bring probably the worst of humanity, you know. Well, it's true. Sure, it's true as long as you believe it, and it's true as long as you don't have any evidence to back that up. Back up the fact that maybe you are doing something great, or that you do have potential. You know, come on, Bray, come messing this up. That's okay. We're gonna get this house done at some point. I don't know when, but we definitely gonna get this house done. I don't know, man. Just believe in yourself if you can, or believe in yourself in your way. I remember my first video. So hard to start, but look where we're at now. Honestly, I've gotten way more comfortable since the beginning. I feel like I can articulate my sentences and flow it into a more convenient way. But do I still have that anxious feeling in my stomach of, oh man, I have no idea what I'm talking about, or oh man, like nobody's gonna see this, so it doesn't matter? Yeah, I mean, I still feel it, and that's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to feel a lot of things, but it's not okay to know the problem and to not do anything about it. That's what I say. It's so easy to ignore like our faults and our like misdoings, and it's so easy to pick on somebody else, or to point out everybody else's insecurities or everybody else's problems. And as people, as humans, like, why do we feel the need to do this? I have no idea. But I guess it's just like a way to cope and a way to make yourself feel better. It's so weird how the world works like that. We put others down to make ourselves feel better, but it's not like we're making ourselves fully feel better. We still feel shit for putting down other people, but unless you're just a big a-hole. But if you're an a-hole, I don't think you're watching this video. I don't think you're trying to work on yourselves. I think you think you're perfect. So there's no need to. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect, and I'm not where I want to be. So what does that mean? We're gonna work. We're gonna cut down some logs till we can build our house. We can build that evidence. Oh, hello, bees. Hello. It's weird. I remember last video I said I don't really play Minecraft, but this is low-key kind of... I like doing this, It's cool. Just building my house. Just focusing on this instead of the big old goal of fighting the Ender Dragon or going to Nether. Might do that, sure, but right now we're just focused on the first goal, which is the house. And after the house, we'll see what happens after that. But I want to make a beautiful house. Same way I want to make a beautiful house on YouTube. And does YouTube end with fighting the Nether Dragon? Or does it just end with me staring at my beautiful house? I think I'd be happy with either or, I don't need the big fanciness. Would it be nice? Sure, but I know that's not going to make me happy. I know that just getting everything I ever wanted materialistically just isn't going to solve how I feel about myself or my self-worth. What'll improve my self-worth and what will improve my state of mind or my mindset will be me actively working on becoming the person I want to be. And by being comfortable with making mistakes and comfortable with receiving criticism. I remember seeing like online that Gen Z is probably hated the most in the workforce. I understand the whole mindset of like work your wage or work what you've been hired for. I guess I understand that, but like realistically, like how applicable is that in a job sense, especially in like fast food or like in a workplace? Like gotta be flexible, and you gotta do things you don't want to do, which is like the main thing jobs teach you. The main thing working teaches you is you gotta do things you don't enjoy in order to survive, and that's an important thing to know, an important thing to learn. So I don't know. When I go to work, I'm always with the mindset of I'm just gonna do my best job that I can and just get the day over with, you know. But I'm not causing problems, you know. I maybe I'm not talking all the time, you know. I'm probably quiet more times than I am loud, but that doesn't stop me from having a conversation or two, you know, just making some friends. But just because I'm making some friends at work doesn't stop me from actually doing my job, you know. I always think it's so baffling how people make up these excuses for themselves. They're like, ah, the management sucks, which could be true, but does the management make you a bad worker? No. You choose to become a bad worker because, well, you see it as convenient, or you see it as easier, or you see yourself not getting punished because of it, you know? Small things like that. Work hard, man, because working hard is the only thing you can realistically do. You can only ever try your best. And even though we feel like we're not even doing our best sometimes, that's still our best. We're giving all the energy we can in the moment. And that's really all that matters. Giving our energy. And I don't know, bro. I'm low key yapping. I like it. I like yapping, yo. Yapping is so fun. Like, oh, I'm supposed to wrong log. But yapping is so fun. Like, I can just come on here. I was like brushing my teeth, like right before I started recording, and I was like, what am I even gonna talk about? And how I decide what I'm gonna talk about is like, what am I feeling at the moment, or what's something that's been on my mind for a while. And so that's why I decided to talk about dissociating today. You know, it's just something that I've probably suffered with longer than I can realize. Oh my god. Fuck out of here. But, you know, being able to share it with you, or share it to whoever's listening, just makes me feel a little better about it. It makes me think, you know what, maybe it doesn't have to always be like this. Maybe things will get better, and maybe I'll one day look back at this video and be like, I'm glad I made it, because it would have put me on the path that I'd want to be on, you know. I don't want to be on such a easy path, or even such a useless path. Oh, dude, what the heck? Yo, protection 2? Oh, we just got some drip. But I think I might end it here. I'm trying to keep the videos a little shorter now. Hopefully it could be a little more digestible to anybody who encounters it. I know I assume that other people will like the long form content, but I guess it's not for everybody. But I mean, no, if you prefer shorter videos, longer videos, I don't know. What I do know is it's Dia. I'm Dia. And day, I don't know, bro. Day's always gonna be here. The day will always end, and you'll always be back in your bed. And the day will restart. So, if you're going through something bad right now, if you're doing something you don't really enjoy, or I don't know, you're just generally not happy, it won't always be like that. And things will get better. And if I'm not living proof, then I'm sorry. But I'm gonna keep working until I get there, to the place I want to be, and the person I want to become. Alright, y'all. It's Dia. Wherever you are, have a good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, everything. And I hope to see y'all soon. And I hope to see more of y'all. But anyways, I'll catch y'all next time. Or whenever. Bye bye.